Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 7.9. A coffee made for two, not by two. It's not a collab.
Just in time for Valentine's Day, 2 weeks early.
Yes. Indeed.
But yes, last time it was not Dragon, but not Skipper. Who the fuck? Bruno and Serena went up against two of Kot's aspects. Yes. One was Caution, who they brutally murdered. I forgot. Yes, Ruthlessness was the name of the other one. And then, right as Ruthlessness was trying to get the bullet back, Dragon was like, I've absorbed your one bullet. Now tell me, who the heck are you? And then it, cut out.
Yeah. What could happen
and
next?
It was epic style.
Let's find out.
I said it all irreverently, but it was actually a really good chapter. Go read it or watch it if you haven't yet.
All the budget would have been in that fight scene. He would have shot the wall.
Yeah.
It would have exploded into cubes, so you know there's money in there.
Like the rest of the animation, it's got the shitty faces in the in-between frames, and it's all clumsy. And then that fight, you have the flashing lights and the who's the people that did Unlimited Blade Works, and they put all the flashy lights.
There's too much budget. It's there's way too much destruction for what's going on.
Yeah, they go into CGI, but good CGI, and it becomes realistic, the style, like a fucking COD game or something.
It's too much budget, so instead of a scene where Serena bats the bullet away like she did, it's a 5-minute chase scene of the bullet chasing her and ricocheting it off blades and shit.
Yeah, and the intense suspenseful music plays as it hovers between the two, the Ruthlessness and Serena, and it's their individual thoughts as the bullet's zooming, presumably in a 1 second period. And they're just if it hits its mark, this'll be the end. And she's like, what can I do to protect It just keeps going back and forth.
It's too late. My 0.3 nanoseconds. I've reached the conclusion. Serena!
Like a fucking DBZ or sports anime. Oh my god. Dragon narrowed his eyes. What the hell do you think you're doing? Even though hot anger was pumping through his veins, causing his extended finger to tremble slightly, his mind was still calmly dissecting the scene before him. He was not speaking to a human being, that was certain. This person with the long ginger hair standing before him, their body language was too perfect, as if it was rehearsed, and the patches of wood visible on their fingertips, along with the noticeable seams running along their face and limbs, betrayed their true nature. Some sort of wooden puppet. Remote-controlled, maybe? That realization wasn't what was making his heart dance crazily, however. What accomplished that was what Dragon saw off to the side, dumped there as if it was nothing but trash. A bleeding, severed foot, still wearing a very familiar boot. Bruno's boot, and Bruno's foot. I'll ask again, Dragon growled when no response came. His finger was still jabbed out, ready to fire off a Gemini shotgun the instant it became necessary. What the hell do you think you're doing? The gun the formally dressed puppet... Formally? Is it naked now?
Formal wear, you fucker.
Oh, formally! Sorry, I was thinking of formerly. He's just naked now. Formally dressed puppet was holding fell limply to his side, swinging in his hand, as he stood up out of his crouch. With the slightest creak of wood, he cocked his head, eyes scanning Dragon up and down. I don't see... Fuck, what was Kot's voice? Help me out here.
Well, Ruthlessness' voice is calm.
I don't see how that's any business of yours. I don't see how that's any business of yours, the puppet said, his voice quiet and emotionless. I'm certain someone with your abilities would have received the hunter game rules just as I did. It's only natural I would endeavor to eliminate a target and obtain the bounty. Dragon scoffed. Fuck off! He snapped. Bruno and Serena are at the bottom of the table as far as the hunter game goes. Same as me. There's no way you'd set up an ambush like this for such little reward, unless there was something else you were after. It'd make me very happy if you told me what that was. This had been a stupid plan from the beginning. Rather than sending Bruno out, they should have just stuck together and waited a little longer. They hadn't been under any time pressure, had they? If they'd waited just 10 more minutes, they would have still been together when Skipper came back and met up with them. Oh my god, it's been a 10-minute time skip?
Well, it's been the fight took place over the course of 10 minutes is what he means.
Damn. As Dragon aimed, eyes cold, he did his best not to look at the foot on the floor. It opened avenues of thought he didn't want to walk down. Another cock of his head, this time to the opposite side, with such speed that the puppet's long hair flopped over his face for a moment. A slow, humorless smile spread across his lips. How did he manage that if he was made out of wood? Were some parts of the structure more flexible, or was it some kind of optical illusion? Well, the puppet said, that thin smile infuriating, what exactly will you do if I don't share that information? The warm rage in Dragon's body heightened into a cold, quiet fury. I'll make you tell me, he glared, fingers stable and fixed. We've got plenty of time. He wasn't sure if a puppet made of wood could actually experience pain, but Dragon was more than willing to get creative with this enemy. The smile didn't fade in the slightest. I see. Well, good luck with that. The puppet moved faster than Dragon had thought possible. Before he could so much as fire off his Gemini shotgun, the puppet raised his own gun in a blur of motion, and smashed it back into his own face. With Aether infusing the weapon, the damage was considerable. Nearly half of the puppet's head was demolished by the first strike. Does the Aether get weaker as well as he spreads out the personalities if they can do general Aether stuff?
And generally for state offers usually the same.
Okay.
Like
Pale would expose where... Well, like, for example, we know when Dragon reinforces, it's, like, barely reinforced compared to when, like, Skipper does it.
Yeah, people
so, like, does that... Okay. Pale wood exposed where cranium had crumbled away, glass eye falling free and shattering to the ground. Dragon lunged forward, ready to try and restrain the enemy, but his opponent wasn't done yet. A second smash of the rifle finished the encounter, the scraps of wood that still remained scattering to the ground, followed a moment later by the puppet's limp body. This is also interesting because it implies he can't recall his aspect without killing the puppet body, because otherwise he just would have yeeted ruthlessness out of the body.
Well, he isn't necessarily, like, constantly aware of what the puppet is doing.
Oh, never mind. It lay there for barely a moment before dissipating into orange aether, which, like a bolt of lightning in reverse, speared up into the air and vanished into the darkness. Dragon's grasping hand met only empty air. What if you Gemini worlded the fucking aspect, huh, Dragon? Could you just trap it in your world? Did you think of that, dum-dum?
He wasn't... It's when projectors are heading for him, he can do it. Or, like, in the very close to him.
Yeah, he should have jumped up and tapped it like when you like are over a doorway and you try to hit the arch. He should have just tapped the ball of aether.
Welcome to my twisted mind, ruthlessness.
Dragon creates a labyrinth and that'd be such a cool thing. Like he absorbs someone in Gemini world and they like have to navigate his labyrinthine mind while fucking mini Dragon is a piece of shit to them. That's a chapter right there. Write that down. I'm a genius. It lay there for barely a moment before dissipating into... Oh, never mind. Shit, he muttered, and then louder, shit! He whipped his script out of his pocket and called Ruth as he made his way down off the water tower and towards the apartment building the puppet had been aiming at. Judging from the angle the enemy had been shooting at before Dragon had interrupted, it was likely that their target was in the basement. Hopefully he wasn't too late. Ruth answered on the second ring. Dragon, she said immediately, urgently. What's up? You find them? Maybe, Dragon panted, aether coursing through his limbs as he forced the shutter to the basement open. I think I found them, but I think they were under attack. Might be best for you all to head to... His words were interrupted as another bolt of orange aether zoomed past him, escaping through the shutter in the moment he opened it. What was that? Ruth asked. I'm on my way! Some aether bullshit. What else? Dragon sighed, deciding to... Unironically, like, I love that he just said that because that's how I feel sometimes. And it's good that I can relate to your protagonist. Deciding to ignore it for the moment as he knelt down and entered the basement. I'm in. Oh my god, he is a hacker. He said the line.
Damn, but he's
Looks like
hacker. I hacked the building by walking into the basement.
You joke, but a lot of hacking is low-key, like shoulder surfing and just, like, entering buildings. Like, I've heard stories of pen testers who dress up as janitors, enter a building with a USB drive, take what they need, and go.
Hey,
so,
get the USB out of the mop,
you think about it like that.
I've already taken my data.
I've hacked into...
I've already scrubbed the records.
Oh my god. He was interrupted once again, not by outside stimulus, but by his breath catching in his throat. His grip tightened on the script to such a degree that he was surprised the thing didn't break. Dragon? Ruth's voice was distant. There, in the middle of the basement, lay Bruno and Serena. Their body was splayed out in some kind of crater, like sections of the floor had been carved away, and their eyes were closed in firm unconsciousness. Ghastly red blood slowly dribbled from the stump of their left leg, the makeshift tourniquet there loosened by time and exertion. Barely, only barely, Dragon could see the slow rise and fall of breath, of human life. He jerked the script back to his mouth, eyes wide. "Get here as soon as you can!" he snarled, eyes fixed on the shape before him. "We need to find a doctor!" Many years ago. Aw, it's not Aetheral space if there isn't a flashback during a life-or-death moment, baby. Popcorn?
It was dark. There was nothing else to this place but that. The pitch-black chamber was filled with two sounds. The rumbling of starship travel and the whispering of frightened children. The rumbling had been uniform since it had set off, and the whispering just the same. There were only really two questions to be asked here, after all. Where are we? Where are we going? There were no answers. The only thing that these children knew was that the masked men had brought them into the starship and locked the doors. It was funny, they'd barely resisted at all. With the situations they'd been in, whether they were taken away or not made no difference to their safety. Some had been youth workers forced into illegal enterprises, some had been homeless kids plucked off the streets, some had been kept for the money in half-rotted orphanages. Save for a few exceptions, all of them were afraid. One of those exceptions had managed to make his way over to the far wall of the cargo bay, planting himself against it. That in itself was a kind of reassurance. The feeling of the cold metal against his hands proof that it wasn't just floating in a dark void. He breathed in and out, slowly, the sensation of life-giving oxygen pouring down his throat, another reminder of his existence. Off in another corner of the room, someone was crying hysterically. Their voice bounced off the walls of the room, becoming something incoherent and warped. If anything, that only increased the fear in this place. "Hello?" whispered another boy's voice from next to him. He almost jumped out of his skin, his fist thumping against the wall as he scrambled around, wary of any incoming threats. He'd lived on the streets most of his life, and had learned long ago how much an unseen punch could hurt. "Who's there?" the boy half hissed, half whispered, quietly, so that nobody else would be able to tell where it was. The other boy didn't answer the question. "Where do you think they're taking us?" he asked. His tone was light, but the wavering in his voice revealed his own fear too. The boy shrugged, unseen as he was. "No clue." "Really? I think we're going to the Supremacy," the other boy eagerly explained. "They're all about strong fighters, right? They probably want us to kill each other in an arena or something." "Kill each other?" He said something macabre as easily as if he was discussing the weather. "I don't think so," the boy replied. "I'm not a fighter or anything. Are you?" "Sometimes. Where do you think we're going then if we're not going to the Supremacy?" Again a blank shrug. "No clue, I said already. But maybe it's somewhere good? Like some rich guy wants an heir or something? I saw that in a videograph. Maybe someone will take care of us like that." "You really think that?" The boy shook his head. "No." Silence, save for displaced sobbing, took dominion over the cargo hold once again. As the boy sat still, wondering if the other person was still there, he felt a warm hand reach out of the darkness and grip his own. For a moment he considered pulling free, but instead held tight, like there's some kind of anchor to keep him from falling into this void. "How about this?" the other boy said quietly. "Let's make a deal. I'll watch your back so you watch mine. That way we can take care of each other, okay?" The boy squeezed the... Sorry about that.
What was that?
That's my fucking dog. You better not throw this fucking dog.
Aww. Poor Rocky. Rocky! He just wants to be involved. So I'm gonna need help tracking who the boy and the other boy is at the end of this.
Okay. The boy squeezed the offered hand, feeling the warmth of another person like a current through a wire. "Okay," he whispered. "What's your name?" his new comrade asked. "Mine's Codian, but my friends call me Cot." Should he lie? The thought occurred, but when the boy opened his mouth he found the truth coming forth. "Jacob. My name's Jacob."
Oh, it's Jacob? I thought it was Jakob. Oh my god. Also, holy shit.
Nah,
wait, is it Jacob?
I think so. It's like Jacob. It's old form of Jacob. Jacob.
Yeah, but it was pronounced Jakob.
Well, in this version it's pronounced Jacob.
You're like fucking Iago over here. Oh my god, though. To think... I obviously they had like once been friends, but I wouldn't have imagined they met so young. How old are they in this flashback? Like, generally, do they look?
Like 10, 11.
Oh my god, so they've known each other a hot minute. Because Bruno, Serena now, they're like 20, right? Yeah. I think you said? Okay, so it's been a hot minute. And I assume you're going to pass it back to me? Nice. Now, Darnell sipped his canned drink as he sat on the edge of a skyscraper, legs dangling over the abyss below. As he drank, he watched the stars above as he usually did. Well, the cars in this case. Those were the closest thing you got to stars in a shithole like the Cradle. The last sip of his sugary drink came up dry, and Ka tossed it down into the void. He vaguely wondered if it would hit something on the way down, but of course he did not linger on it for more than a second. "You shouldn't drink that stuff, you know," someone had once told him. "It's awful for your health." Cot clicked his tongue, flipping his long hair back as he watched the can vanish into the black. He was supposed to have left all of that behind, so why the hell was he remembering stupid shit now? The answer was obvious, of course. That asshole had shown his ugly face again, after he was meant to be over and done with. As soon as the aspects he sent out finished them off, he'd be able to... A bolt of orange aether, zooming through the sky, slammed into Cot with incredible speed. Despite its apparent momentum, however, Cot didn't so much as flinch as it joined back up with him. If anything, the look in his eyes may have turned just a little colder. That was the only indicator for any change. Memories flooded into him. The after-action report of his dispatched ruthlessness. Wait, what about caution?
Well, there was a bit... Well, they weren't taken out at the same time.
You know, it's kind of funny to me because the orange balls like zoom through the air back to him and from him, presumably, right?
Yeah.
You could say he literally threw caution to the wind. I'm just saying. That was the only indicator of any change. Oh, here we go. Serena Delsette had managed to outmaneuver caution and ruthlessness' coordinated attack, and then one of Jakob's allies had come dangerously close to capturing ruthlessness. It's very interesting that he still calls them Jakob, but also mentions Serena. It implies that Jakob is still in there somewhere. Right? Mm. Very, very confusing. Then one of Jakob's allies... I could theory craft on this alone for, like, at least the next 10 minutes. And then one of Jakob's allies had come dangerously close to capturing ruthlessness. Suicide had been the correct decision in that case, of course, but it didn't make it any more vexing to lose. Moments later, a second bolt of orange aether struck him, and Colt gingerly pulled his legs off the edge of the building. Because he got his caution back. See, good detail. This is why they call him the King of Riders on SCP. Did you know that?
They do.
It's these little details. Caution had been absolutely mauled by Serena Dels. Actually, I feel like Cot would make a great SCP in concept. Sorry, come on, Curtis. Caution had been absolutely mauled by Serena Delsette, using a mixture of swords and ruined fingernails. If Wood was able to feel pain, it would have been excruciating. Cot sure was glad he wasn't that guy. Jakob's body hasn't lost... Ooh, what was that? Were you just laughing with glee?
But he was that guy, was the joke.
Also, there's a single edit, so now you have to change the Royal Road. Don't forget, smile. Jakob's body hadn't lost any of its efficacy, clearly. Cot wouldn't be getting the easy resolution he'd yearned for. With a grunt of effort, he picked himself up off the ground and looked out onto the city spread out before him. His hair and blazer billowed in the artificial wind. This farce, called the Hunter Game, was set to go on for quite a while, so he'd have plenty of chances. The very next time, Jakob left his guard down, Cot would be there without fail. Or maybe Bruno is Jakob, and he's just called Bruno for some reason. Because that would make sense with him recognizing Serena. I don't know. There's too much going on here, Tan. You're fucking with my head. Cot would be there without fail. Sorry, old friend. Cot turned and walked away. But I just can't feel safe as long as you're alive. Alright, theory crafting time. I think Cot betrayed Jakob. He didn't want to, but either he was forced to, or he felt forced to, and now the only reason he wants to kill Jakob is because he's afraid that, like, they hate him so much that they would kill him first. That's my guess. Final answer. There's so much to be left unknown. Why is he still calling him Jakob but recognizes Serena? How does he know Serena and Bruno's name? What the fuck is going on? Come on, Tan. There's too much lore.
We'll find
out. Need help.
I'm sure.
Alright, popcorn.
Dragan grimaced as he looked down at Bruno, prone on the bed. With Rico's help, they managed to get to a back alley doctor who could trust him to keep his mouth shut. But Dragan got the feeling this display would have been just as unpleasant if they'd been to the galaxy's finest hospital. Bruno's foot had been severed long enough that it couldn't just be reattached, so the doctor had set to regrowing it using panacea as soon as they brought him in. A structure like a bonsai tree of human digits was growing out of Bruno's stump, new toes growing and absorbing each other as the fungus did its grisly work. How much longer should this take? Dragon asked, glancing at the attending doctor. The tired-looking man scratched idly at his ear, eyes fixed on his patient. "Depends," he drawled. "Something like this, a couple hours. But if the panacea gets confused, we'll have to amputate whatever it comes up with and start again. Can get grisly with this stuff."
Sorry, you just started off with like a southern drawl, and then you made him just sound like a dweeb at the end. Very funny to me.
Dragon winced. "Confused? What, you mean the panacea thinks? It's not going to have a conversation with you, don't get me wrong," the doctor continued. "But it has to figure out what it's replacing, yeah? There's something a little bit like Fort going on there, some kind of analysis. Fascinating stuff, really." His gaze slid over to Dragon. "Expensive, too." "The Elephant Clan will cover the costs," Dragon lied. "Having Rico around had its benefits." Rico is now Dragon's credit card.
"Check, please."
The doctor, after your panacea bill comes back.
Damn. Tell me now, Tanhony, in Aetheral Space World, is panacea costs reasonable, or is this more health bullshit?
It depends where you are, like most things. Supremacy, it's as long as you're in the military, you can get it pretty easily. But if you're not, you have to pay top dollar.
Damn.
There was a low groan, and Bruno's eyes began to flutter open. Dragon glanced at the doctor, and, with the speed of a professional, he quietly made his way out of the room. "You okay?" Dragon asked, looking
Is
down.
that the next envy of an insect, the speed of a professional?
I don't even notice him doing it.
It's just adjective of a noun. I love it.
"You okay?" Dragon asked, looking down at his wincing friend. "Feels like I got run over by a truck," Bruno grumbled, and then he glanced down at his regrowing foot. "Oh, okay, it's worse." "You took some bad hits," Dragon nodded. "Two wooden guys kicked the shit out of you, from what I can tell. A skipper came and found us a little while after we sent you out. I went to find you when you weren't answering my calls. Roof and Skipper are watching the perimeter."
Is something going on? You keep cutting out for me every other word.
Don't think so.
I don't know if weird. Must be my internet, sorry.
"Roof and Skipper are watching the perimeter in case those guys make another go at it." "Wooden guys," Bruno mumbled, and a second later his eyes snapped wide, screen growing pale. "Oh." Dragon furrowed his brow. "Someone you know?" "Cut!" Bruno breathed, like the word was a curse. His aether-sparking fingers, still behind glove, gripped the edge sheet with such force that it tore. Cot. Bruno had used that name before, back on Yoslav, when he'd been hallucinating from Decimators 3. He'd mistaken Dragon for that person and almost strangled him to death. There definitely wasn't a happy story there. The smart thing to do would be to leave well enough alone. "Who's Cot?" Dragon asked quietly.
I fucking love that line.
Bruno didn't answer. Instead, when the answer began to climb out of his mouth, it was in the voice of Serena Dalset. Her tone was different than usual, somehow a mixture of sing-song and a cold monotone, her eyes glaring up at the grotty ceiling. "There were 6 of us," she whispered. "Us and Cot and our friends. We were supposed to help keep the UAP safe, get rid of the bad guys before they could do anything bad. One time we went into the Supremacy, infiltrated it. Things went bad." "What exactly?" Serena's gaze snapped over to look at Dragon, and the cold fire in his eyes was enough to shut him up instantly. "Things went bad," she repeated. "We all hid in different places, secret places. Cot was in charge. He was supposed to protect us." Her baleful glare returned to the ceiling. "He led them right to us. They took us away. They hurt us." Her hands, still gripping the bedsheet, shook with fury and remembered terror. "They hurt us for a long time." With that, Serena lay back in the bed, the furious expression on her face not changing in the least. It made sense.
How come... So the Supremacy did that to them, right? I'm surprised they were so willing to take Dragon's Supremacy officer into their midst. Obviously we know Dragon wasn't attached to the Supremacy, but they didn't know that, right?
Pissed off.
Oh yeah, that's right! Bruno was... It wasn't until Yoslav Bruno was... Oh! You know what, Tanhony? I concede you are the author.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's why they call me Mr. 5000.
I didn't mean to doubt
There's
you.
5,000 facts in the
Oh
Aetheral
my
Space universe, and I remember them all.
Now that 6,000 is out, it kind of feels weird that you still call yourself 5,000. You're old news. Like, imagine if whoever wrote through...
Well,
imagine if Cactus was running around being like...
Until Maestro 7000.
Imagine if Cactus was like, I'm Mr. 3000. We'd all be like, old news.
Well,
Sorry.
You know, it took like 10 other guys to write that article, so, you know, it would be kind of weird.
Compared to Tanhony, that's... I mean, shit. Damn.
It made sense.
Yeah,
It'd been obvious from the start they'd had some bad experience with this cop person, but even so, hearing it through Serena's mouth instead of the moody Bruno has made it seem alien in a way, like a picture without the context required. Whatever the case, if Cop was going after Bruno and Serena directly now, that was an issue. The best thing to do would be to come up with a defensive strategy, and Mr. Dragon? Dragon was pulled out of his archive, already growing around him by the voice of Serena Del said. She was sitting up in bed again, staring at him, her gaze unblinking. The structure at the end of her leg was beginning to resemble something solid again, rather than an artist's first draft of humanity. Mr. Dragon?
That's a banger line.
She repeated, more insistently. Yeah? Dragon replied, throat dry. Seeing Serena so serious, seeing Serena serious at all, was unnerving in the extreme. For the first time since she started speaking, Serena Del said blinked. Mr. Dragon, would you help me kill a person?
Yes. Without hesitation.
Simp.
Sorry, that was me answering. Yeah, I'm a Serena simp, sorry. Not sorry, I would do it. Yeah, good chapter change. Sorry there was some... Yeah, where are the Serena simps at, actually? Actually, comment below. Who would you simp for the hardest in Aetheral space? Leave a comment down below.
Well, the Supreme already has it in Universe simp. So.
They do? Who? Oh, yeah, that one guy, the contender. Yeah. This was a good chapter. Sorry about the technical difficulties with you cutting out and that I interrupted every 2 seconds, but that was good. As usual. Although, a coffin made for... Oh, because, Bruno and Serena, one body. Now I see. I was confused why it was called a coffin made for 2.
Yeah.
But they didn't die, so they don't need a coffin.
Wow.
Unless you're implying that their body is the coffin.
Who can say?
You can say. You always say that! You can say!
Wait, I did
you
say...
fucking...
Well, the process of me saying it is the story called Aetheral Space.
What'd you say? You cut out every word.
The process of me telling you is the story called Aetheral Space that we are reading.
I cannot understand what you're saying. You'll have to type it to me later. For now, we'll catch you guys later. Bye!
Bye!